All right, let's tackle a huge question today, one that matters for anyone in a leadership role, or really anyone who just wants to be more effective in life. Can you actually train your emotions? We're going to find out by breaking down a really fascinating study that put this very idea to the test. Let's dive in.
You've definitely heard this one before, right? Especially in a business context. Leave your emotions at the door. Yeah, it's that classic old school management line. The whole idea was that work is for logic and reason, and feelings, well, they belong somewhere else entirely.
And look, this wasn't just some throwaway phrase. For decades, this was a core principle drilled into managers. The belief was that emotions were a liability, something that just clouds your judgment and gets in the way of making those tough, rational decisions.
But then, science came along and just completely flipped that idea on its head. Modern brain research has shown that telling someone to just turn off their emotions isn't just a little bit off, it's actually, well, terrible advice.
And this is the real game changer. It turns out emotions aren't the enemy of reason, they're a key part of it. As this research from Damasio shows, our brains literally use our feelings to figure out what's important and to make decisions. Without them, we'd be totally lost. And this realization, it paved the way for a whole new way of thinking.
And that, of course, led to the whole field of emotional intelligence, or EI for short. But as soon as it got popular, a massive debate started up. What is this stuff really? And maybe more importantly, can you actually get any better at it? Okay, so let's get on the same page. What are we even talking about? According to one of the pioneers in the field, Reuven Bar-On, EI isn't just about being nice to people. It's a real set of skills. How well you know yourself, how you connect with others, and how you deal with all the stuff life throws at you. It's kind of like the other half of intelligence. And oh boy, did companies buy into this. I mean, they went all in. Convinced that more EI would mean better leaders and bigger profits, they started pouring millions upon millions into workshops, coaching, the whole shebang. But here's the catch. While all that money was flying around, the actual science was kind of lagging behind. As the researchers in our study point out, for all the hype, the hard proof that these training programs actually worked was surprisingly thin, and honestly, it was all over the map. Some studies said yes, some said no.
So that leads us right to the heart of the matter. Can you actually train your emotional intelligence? Is this for real, or is it just a myth that's propping up a massive industry? To figure that out, we gotta look at the evidence.
Well, that's exactly what a group of researchers set out to do. They designed a study to get a clear, data-driven answer by putting a real-world leadership training program right under the microscope.
So who are the guinea pigs for this experiment? And get this, they didn't use college students. They studied actual, practicing leaders from NGOs all over the world. We're talking experienced people from over 30 different countries, working in really demanding jobs. That makes the results way more meaningful.
Now, the way they did it was super rigorous, but also pretty straightforward. First, they got a baseline measurement of everyone's EI. Then, those leaders went through this intense 5-day training program that even included one-on-one coaching. And here's the really crucial part. They didn't just test them again the next week. No, they waited a whole year to see if any of these changes actually stuck.
So, what exactly were they measuring? They were using a framework called Bar-On's model, which breaks EI down into 5 key buckets. You've got your internal stuff, the intrapersonal skills, like self-awareness. Then your external stuff, interpersonal skills, like empathy. And then you have how you handle the world around you, your adaptability, your stress management, and just your overall general mood.
All right, the stage is set. We've got real leaders, a serious training program, and that 1-year waiting period. It is time for the moment of truth. Let's see what the data had to say.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? After all that time, all that effort, did these leaders show any real, lasting improvement in their emotional intelligence?
And the answer? A huge, resounding yes. I mean, just look at this chart. The results couldn't be clearer. There was a significant jump across the board. Every single area of emotional intelligence they measured, from how leaders saw themselves to how they handled stress, showed real, measurable growth. Okay, let's put a hard number on it. The group's total EQ score went up by an average of 4.66 points. And hey, that might not sound like a giant leap, but in the world of psychological testing, that's a big deal. It's statistically significant, which means this wasn't just a fluke. The training had a genuine impact.
But it gets even more interesting when you dig into the details. The growth wasn't the same everywhere. The biggest improvement, by far, was in interpersonal skills. We're talking empathy and social responsibility. That jumped over 5.5 points.
At the other end, stress management saw the smallest gain, though it definitely still went up. So what gives? Why the difference?
Well, the researchers pointed to something called the ceiling effect, which actually makes a ton of sense. Remember, these were already experienced leaders in tough jobs. Their ability to manage stress was pretty high to begin with. Basically, they were already pretty good at it, so there was just less room to grow compared to other areas where they started out a bit lower.
Okay, so the study gives us a pretty clear verdict. But what does this all mean for you, for leaders? What's the big takeaway here?
The bottom line is this. The study gives us some really strong proof that your emotional intelligence isn't some fixed trait you're just born with. Nope, it's a set of skills. And with the right kind of training, something that's intensive, practical, and includes coaching, you can seriously improve those skills. It makes the whole idea of working on yourself a real, tangible goal.
And this backs up exactly what the guy who created this model, Baron, said himself. These crucial skills aren't set in stone. They are both teachable, meaning we can show others how to do it, and learnable, meaning we can absolutely develop them in ourselves. And really, that's what brings this all back to us, right? If these busy, experienced professionals from all over the world can demonstrably improve their self-awareness, their empathy, and their resilience, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's your potential, and what's the first step you could take to start unlocking it?